Welcome everybody to Gamingtech. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Let's take a look at our system. We started with this 240Hz monitor. Personally, I didn't find this monitor amazing considering it's a TN panel, but if you're looking for a high refresh rate, it's a great option. I would recommend you pick up the 360Hz though, from a different brand in order to be future proof. And it came with a mark, as you guys can see. This is the part 2. We're gonna test the computer here. This is our computer case. That's our setup. So the front part of the case is lit by the blue light. That's a nice touch. Those are the fans. I have a lot to say about those fans. Let's finish our Windows installation. Comes ready in the system. Just these extra steps. Okay, bad features of the computer. 650 watt power supply if you intend to overclock the graphic card is not enough. It gets warm, and basically these two InWin fans are completely useless, including the CPU cooler as well. So I would suggest that you update those immediately if you intend to buy the system, because the tempered glass is keeping the heat also inside trap pretty nice, because you can make sure this computer works as a chimney design even though the top is covered, but if you add two 140mm fans on the bottom and nice exhaust, it would improve the situation a lot. I used two Noctuas during the testing. You will see on the time spy test, by the way. Let's see that. As you see, two 140mm fans fits nicely. Just upgrade the fans. That CPU cooler is horrible. Here I added more cooling. It is a nice system. Here is our time spy tests. We started first with stock. The CPU is definitely holding the system a little back because of the cooling. So definitely a better cooler would solve that issue. I mean, look at that temperature. That's quite high, 77 degrees. Yes, it was 32 degrees in the room. We couldn't run the system on Windows full performance, so I had to have it only on optimal, which is a bummer because we would be getting higher score. Here we increased the GPU's power draw. The Zotac card is, by the way, fantastic. I can't complain about it. You can barely hear it at 50%. Fantastic card, overclocked really well. But 650 watt power supply, as I mentioned before. If you don't push the system, it's totally fine. We were able to increase our memory. You can see the temperatures, memory. This is the highest I got, then I didn't try more. Here we added 100 on the core, 1300 on the memory. Power draw is the maximum. But to be honest, that 11th generation CPU wasn't that amazing. It's definitely a solid gaming machine for sure. $220 on the core, memory is 1320. Yes, and we had our CPU score drop also a little bit. 32 degrees outside. Plus those fans are not doing any favor. The case fans are running on 656 fan speed. This is 100% of the graphic card. This is the raw performance. This is on full HD. You will see the test on 2K as well, on ultrawide. Recordings were done with OBS, so think about as 20-30 FPS being lost, as you see here.
Qui m'a parlé?
Elle gueule la daronne.
Vas-y, à la prison, venez.
Jeanne. C'est qui a pas prison, il y a qu'on a coup dans la gueule.
Let's talk about the Zotac card. It has huge performance increase over RTX 2080 and 2080 Ti. Very quiet cooler, fantastic memory overclocking potential, idle fan stop, adjustable RGB lighting, second generation hardware accelerated ray tracing, supports for HDMI 2.1, AV1 decode, DLSS is improved, new G4 features such as reflex, broadcast, G-Sync, a metal backplate, and adjustable RGB lighting is included as well. Noise levels are even better with just 32 decibel, I measured it. So this is basically one of the most quiet RTX 3080s for sure. Trinity top set 336 watt.
Oh putain, moi je me tire, allez, moi je me tire. J'ai pas de mat, j'ai pas de mat, j'ai pas de mat. Allez, va te faire enculer, allez, va te faire enculer, fille.
Pas la fibre, hein.
Vas-y, maintenant, il n'y a que GTT là.
Adem, va en canal de groupe.
Vas-y.
I switched to ultrawide. I couldn't handle that 240 Hz monitor. Not because of the frames, I just don't like the curvature of it. That's our front ports. We're gonna test Pubg and Fortnite on 2K ultrawide. Basically RTX 3080 is you wanna play on 2K or 4K for sure. To recap, I suggest you replace the fans. You get a new CPU cooler, everything else is fine. Boot time is fine, it's loading fast. Shame they didn't use higher watt power supply. That would have been nicer to see. And that's Cooler Master CPU cooler is horrible. It's complete trash. Complete trash. We should actually do test against testing the stock of Intel cooler. I was surprised how terribly it performed. Sadly, I don't have a CPU cooler here right now. That's why I couldn't test, or else I would have taken it apart. For example, if you remember and if you watched the video with Acer Nitro, they had a fantastic cooler that was going up to 3500 RPM. Why didn't they use that kind of cooler? I have no idea. It's not pleasant when you're gonna pay $2,000 and the next thing you should be updating your cooler. But for the price, what you get is amazing deal. RTX 3080. They're hard to find, so especially gaming on ultrawide is completely different feeling. I can recommend it. This is an older generation with 100 Hz, but does the job fantastically. Does it bother if it's a VA panel? VA panel? Not really. Because you're so much focused in the game and the visuals are amazing. My opinion, shall you buy this computer? If budget is something you're aiming for, yeah, I do recommend the system. I do recommend the system. Because you can't overclock the CPU anyway. Just update the cooler, just update the fans, and you're good to go. And I would recommend one of the Arctic fans. I would recommend the Arctic, very cheap. They got great fans. I have it on my water cool system also, and they have a great CPU cooler also, or a NOC 201, whatever fits to your budget. I recommend this system, except the flaws they have there. Top part of the computer gets a little bit warm because of the power supply. As long as you can exhaust that warm air, that would be ideal, but here it doesn't happen. That's why I removed the tempered glass. I added 2 fans at the bottom so it would suck the fresh cold air, push it from the graphic card, but having a front fan, which is a strong one, and an exhaust would make a day and night difference. This is Fortnite in 2K. This is how our setup looked. I like it, but InWin has done some mistakes. I wish they had it 140mm bottom fans, so it was sucked air exhaust from the back. That would have been nice touch. On the front you can have two 140mm, but since the GPU is quite long, you won't be able to run that setup. So 140 at the front, 140 at the back as an exhaust, and two 140 at the bottom of the GPU. That would be ideal for this system. BIOS, I entered the BIOS of the system. It's bad. Thank you guys for watching once again. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you like the video, like the video. I see there's new people. Guys, let's hit that sub button so we'll get this channel going, and that way I can give back something to you also. Once again, see you on the next video. Let's go.